It's 9:37 a.m. on Thursday, the 12th of June, 2008. This is Marc Strassman in Valley Village, California. I'm about to speak to Peter Rive, the co-founder and COO of SolarCity. I'm not exactly sure where he is. Welcome to Utopia News, and please tell us where you are.
Thanks, Mark. I'm in Foster City, California,
Ah,
about 15 miles south of San Francisco.
built on landfill in San Francisco Bay.
Yeah, you got it.
Let's hope we don't have an earthquake and everything liquefies and you sink beneath the waves today.
Yeah, let's hope.
Tell us about SolarCity. When it was founded, is it public or private company? How many employees it has, and so on.
Sure. SolarCity was founded in July 4th, 2006. We've grown to about 250 employees. And my brother and I started the company, and the founding vision of the company was to try to bring economies of scale and a trusted brand to solar installation, and we've done exactly that.
What differentiates you and what brought you to my attention to do this story is that you're offering a lease program. Tell us how that works. Well, first tell us why you decided to do that, and then tell us how it works.
Well, we've always seen as one of the biggest barriers to adopting solar power has just been the high upfront cost. So since we started the company, we've been working on a financing program of some sort. We know that if you finance a solar power system, one can get the monthly payments below that of what people are spending on conventional electricity. So since the company started, we've been working on it. It's actually a fairly difficult lease to structure because it's never been done before. It took us about a year and a half to develop, and we have it now, and it's been enormously successful.
The reason that makes sense is because as the cost of generating electricity by conventional means increases, the utility of having it generated by renewable sources also increases. The problem is you need a bigger upfront cost at the beginning in order to make that work, and people typically can't make that investment, especially if there are vagaries in terms of tax credits that come and go. Mm-hmm. So the missing link in getting more solar deployed is to figure out a way to pay for it now and then pay it off as the benefits accrue. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like what we're really trying to have people see when they look at solar leases is essentially just a different way to pay for electricity. We will own the panels in the same way that, say, PG&E owns a local transformer or a portion of the grid.
Or in the same way that a leasing company owns a car that's leased to a person to use. Talk about this in comparison to car leasing versus car buying.
I mean, in terms of the financials, it's very similar, meaning that it's structured in the same way legally. But of course, the benefits are completely different. I mean, if you do get a solar lease from SolarCity, you're actually going to be saving money from day one. I mean, you put nothing down. You're going to be offsetting your electricity costs, and in many cases, you're going to be saving upwards of $30 or $40 a month, and of course, using clean electricity. And the savings are going to accrue. The lease, it does have a natural escalation of about 3% a year, but the utility rates are escalating at about 6% a year. So the value that you're deriving from the solar lease is actually increasing by about 3% year after year. And that 6% escalation doesn't include any sort of major step function increase like people taxing carbon emissions, which many believe is inevitable.
It sounds like the only problem is going to be you're ramping up to do this faster.
Yeah, I mean, we're investing very heavily in training and recruiting right now. In fact, we have 2 full-time recruiters. We are currently building out a world-class training facility in San Francisco. And you're right, it is going to be one of the challenges for us, and it's something that we have a really good plan in place for, and it's something that we're very familiar with because we have scaled the company as quickly as going from its founding incarnation to now 240 people. We installed in excess of 750 homes in 2006, so we're very familiar with scaling up very quickly and at the same time maintaining incredible customer satisfaction.
Say as much as you want about who's putting up the money.
So we do the fund that we've established is structured with Morgan Stanley, and it's a pretty good situation for them. They get a very solid return on their investments as well. Solar power in general, yields. When we were selling solar power as like most installers do on a cash basis, we're typically offering our customers a 15% return on their money. I mean, you do require a pretty hefty upfront investment, but if you do have the money, it's an incredible return. So, you are able to, structure financing agreements where, you can see people getting a pretty good return on financing solar power.
So it's that good return that now is divided essentially among the homeowner, you, and Morgan Stanley. So everyone is getting something out of it, but there's more of it happening, so everyone's benefiting even more.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
let's talk about
Especially
a
the
tip.
planet.
I'm sorry.
Especially the planet.
Yeah, especially the planet. Okay, so that's four groups that are benefiting,
Yeah.
four entities. Um, uh, let's talk about a tip. Walk me through a typical process. Let's say I've got a house here and I'm paying PG&E, or if I here in LA, I'd be paying LA DWP,
Mm-hmm.
Southern California Edison. I'm paying my electric bill. They're burning. Maybe they're giving me green stuff. Maybe they're burning coal in the Mountain West. Maybe they're getting nuclear from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I call you up and say, hello, I want to do a solar lease. What's the process?
Well, so the first process is actually go to our website at www.solarcity.com, and there's information there that describes the lease economics to you. And from there, what you would do is you'd submit your name and your number, and we would call you up and then do a detailed analysis for you. If you like the way that the numbers turn up, and then the analysis is done custom to your home because every home is different. The solar power output is affected by how much shading you have, the size of your roof, the direction in which your roof faces. In some cases, you may choose to do a ground mount. It's the solar power design aspect is handled by SolarCity. I mean, it's complicated, but we take care of it for the customer so that it's simple to them. So once you've actually submitted your information over the website, we call you, we visit your home, we do the design and engineering, and then we build the system. And only once it actually starts producing electricity for you and offsetting your electricity bills do you start making your monthly payments.
Okay.
So
Say a little bit more about the materials that you use, the kinds of photovoltaics. Do you use all one kind?
no,
Do
we
it
use
vary
a
or what?
variety. I mean, it's mostly crystalline panels. In fact, it's 100% all crystalline. So mono and polycrystalline panels, and we use a variety of name brand panels from companies like Evergreen, Kyocera, BP, and so on.
Okay. Now, is there a maintenance contract that's included in this deal as
Yeah,
well?
so the deal is it's a 15-year lease program, and that includes a performance guarantee as well as operations and maintenance, and we also include monitoring technology which we've developed. So we actually have a group of people inside of SolarCity that are doing nothing except for watching your solar power system and making sure that it's performing optimally.
So that's
And
a little bit like Homer Simpson sitting at the nuclear power monitoring station, but assuming they're eating tofu and not donuts, or the big ISO operators who monitor the whole California system, they're sitting there and watching to see how it's going.
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, and could I, as a homeowner, also tap into that system and
Yeah.
see how many
Yep.
photons I'm turning into electrons?
Absolutely. We have a SolarGuard portal that homeowners can log on to, and they can take a look at the output of their system.
And if for some reason it shows, oops, it's not working, what happens then?
Then the first thing that we do is we call the customer and we run through a couple of basic diagnostic steps. And if that doesn't bring the problem to the surface, then we dispatch a technician who goes out and fixes the problem.
So it's even
And
like OnStar, where they call and say, no, we don't think you've had an accident, but we think your photons have stopped flowing.
Well, it's almost better than OnStar because what we do is we give you a call before you think to call OnStar.
Right. Yeah,
Because the
before
thing
you.
with a PV system is that you don't really know if it's
Right.
working or
It's
not
just
until
sitting
you
there.
maybe
Right.
get your utility bill at the end of the year.
Right.
So you've got to know if the system stops functioning.
So obviously you're a one-stop shop for the whole process.
Yeah, we sure are. We
Okay.
have employee owners who do all of the construction, and they're some of the best people in the world. I mean, both from their attitudes as well as just their construction expertise. I'm really happy with the team that we have on board.
Solar installers don't have the reputation of cable people. That which for good reason.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that the types of people that we have attracted to do solar installation. I mean we're talking about people with for philosophy degrees who have just taken such a keen interest and are wanting to install solar for the right reasons. They're very environmentally motivated. They want to be making a difference, and they're incredibly bright, incredibly friendly, and just incredible workmanship ethic.
So we don't have philosopher kings yet, but we have philosopher installers.
Yeah.
Okay, give us some typical pricing with a typical three-bedroom home, and what people tend under PG&E, for example, to be paying now, and what they'd be paying under your system, and what kind of options they have at the end of the lease period as well.
Okay, so every number is going to be slightly different,
Right,
but a typical scenario is something like you have a existing $200 electric bill,
right,
and you then get a solar lease that is maybe a 3-4 kilowatt system, and you're paying $100 a month, and then you have a remaining electricity bill of say $50 a month, and so your cumulative electricity payments when you combine the solar lease as well as your remaining electricity payments is 150, meaning that you get to save $50 a month.
or 25% in this
Yeah.
in the typical case. Why is it that you need to? I think I know the answer, but why is it that you need to buy electricity anyway?
Um,
At all?
well, it just depends on whether or not you are able to completely offset your electric bill.
Right.
And you may be roof space constraint. Also, it depends on your motivations for going solar. In some cases, if people, ironically, offsetting 100% of your bill doesn't pay off as well as offsetting 80% of it.
Explain why.
And the reason for that is because most rate structures, especially in California, most electricity rates are structured in tiers, meaning the more you use, the more you pay.
Right.
So where solar power is really economical is in the upper tiers. So you shave off tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So the solar power output essentially displaces all of those electricity kilowatt hours that you would have been using and leaves you only with consuming the lower tier. And
So you're saying,
that is very
right?
cheap. So you essentially just offset the higher tiers.
As soon as the plane goes away, I'll ask something else.
Okay.
So the idea is if you pay the first 80% of what you're buying, then you're getting a good rate for that, and you can pay them for the last 20%, and that works out better for you.
Yeah, financially it does. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
And
talk about
you
yeah. Go
also
ahead.
need the electricity at night. Of course, the solar power system doesn't have a battery backup system.
Are you
So
considering that? Can you do that? Would it make sense to have a battery system
it becomes a lot more expensive.
for the cost
So
of the
we don't
battery?
typically recommend people. We essentially want to try to have the customers see the utility grid as the battery.
Right. I
So
see.
during the
Okay.
day, you're feeding electricity into the grid, and you're getting paid for doing so. And then at night, you're getting the electricity back. And what's great is that when you go solar, you go to time of use rate. So what ends up happening is you end up selling electricity to the grid at a really high price. And then at night, when you're consuming it, you're off peak, and so you're buying it at an even cheaper price. And so that's a big part of the solar power economics.
Talk in more detail about that in terms of the net metering and or feed-in tariffs. What arrangements do your customers have already, or could have already, or do they get with you with PG&E?
So with PG&E, all our customers are net meters, which
Okay.
is great because that gives you the ability to, essentially balance out what you're giving into the grid versus what you're consuming from the grid. And the idea is that at the end of the year, they true up everything that you've produced from everything that you've consumed and send you one bill.
So
So in the summer, what you'll find is you're producing a lot more electricity than you're consuming, but in the winter, maybe it's the other way around. And so as a result, at the end of the year, they true it up and they send you one bill.
on a yearly basis.
That's right.
Okay, so people would get a monthly bill from you for the lease and a yearly bill, much less from a PG&E under your
Yep.
system. What's been the response? How many people have signed up?
So we just launched the program, and the response has been incredible. I mean, we've needed to hire a lot of people who are answering phones from inquiring customers. In the first month, we signed up, close to about 100 customers.
Okay, and where is it available?
It's available in pretty much every metropolitan area in California. We're still working out a program with LADWP and some other municipal utilities.
Okay.
But in the major utilities in California, it's all available, and then it's available in Phoenix, Arizona, and it'll be available shortly. We're talking about 3 months from now in Portland, Oregon.
All right. And if a feed-in tariff were implemented,
Hmm.
what kind of impact would that have on this, on the economics of the process?
It really depends on the customer.
Right.
If you have enough roof space to create a very big solar power system, assuming that you're a homeowner, then it could have a positive impact because then you can maximize the amount of solar that you have, and you're going to be selling it to the grid at a constant price. The real question with the feed-in tariff is going to be at what price are you going to be able to sell your
Right.
kilowatt hours? So
If
feed-in
yeah.
tariff itself may not be useful, but if you can sell them at say 20, 25 cents a kilowatt hour, then it'll make a pretty big impact.
Is it even feasible with a high enough feed-in tariff that people would get could install the system for less than no cost and end up making money? You'd make money, Morgan Stanley would make money, and the homeowner would make money?
That's feasible. And again, it just depends on the price of the feed-in tariff.
Okay. In doing some research, I read that the mayor of San Jose, Chuck Reed, had issued a challenge for someone to have a no down payment lease payment program for solar. What role did he play in this, and what role?
I think it was just serendipity. I mean, the timing was pretty amazing, and we had been planning a leasing program, and we had originally structured with a very low down payment. And then when the challenge came out, and we looked at the way, we basically sharpened our pencils and said, hey, can we make this work with the low with zero down? And we realized that we could. And well, at least we wanted to in the short term. We're not sure if we're going to continue with zero down in the long term. We're not sure if we can continue to make it work. But we wanted to release Solar Lease in such a way that it had incredible adoption and bring benefits to our customers immediately.
As
So
yes, no, go
so,
ahead.
but I guess long story short, we were originally charging a small upfront fee, and the challenge really made us think about it and go, okay, yes, we can make this work with zero down.
And that's in place until when? Right now?
Right now, it's going to be in place until the end of July.
So people have about six more weeks that they could do that.
That's right.
Now we've been talking about residential buildings.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of buildings, especially if you're flying anywhere. You can see lots of roof space that remains uncovered on commercial buildings, warehouses, just normal businesses downtown. What's the applicability of your program to commercial buildings?
It's perfectly applicable. We are going to be offering financing services to commercial customers. We're structuring it slightly differently, where in their cases we're actually going to be doing what people refer to as a power purchase agreement, and this will be the first of its kind for small and medium-sized businesses. And so what
Tell
that
people
allows you,
what is a
a
power
basic,
purchase agreement?
it's gonna instead of saying paying a fixed monthly cost, they're just going to be paying a certain number of cents for every single kilowatt hour that we're feeding into their building from
Oh,
our solar panels.
so essentially you're sort of an outsourced or you're an independent utility.
In a sense, I mean, we work alongside the utility, and we supplement the building's electricity consumption with clean solar power.
So they agreed to pay you for the electricity you provide them.
That's right.
Okay. On a on a much larger scale, what about the applicability of this model of financing from Morgan Stanley, construction by you?
Well,
Uh,
so Morgan
yeah,
Stanley, so SolarCity as a business is focusing on residential systems and small and medium commercial systems.
right.
The utility scale projects are handled by other companies, but Morgan Stanley does also have a fund with other companies to finance large projects, and they typically do it on a project by project basis rather than just a specific fund.
Are you and your company going to possibly get involved in utility scale
No, not right
operations?
now. I mean, again, we want to try to stay focused on getting really good at producing a large volume of smaller installations,
Okay.
and that's kind of the niche that we're carving out for ourselves right now.
Give us one or two anecdotal examples of people who've come to you and how things have worked out for them.
I mean, it's funny. The example that we give and that we spoke about early on is exactly the case. I mean, you just have customers who sign up, and And at first they're like, this is too good to be true. I'm like, there's got to be a catch, but I mean, there really isn't. So, again, it's just customers who are able to save money with, from day one without putting anything down.
All right. For yourself, what's the biggest satisfaction of the work?
Um, I mean, first, it's being able to um, make a difference and hopefully do our part in preventing a climate crisis. That is definitely very fulfilling. And then it's also a growing successful company with a great product. Then it's our team, the people that we've recruited, and how happy they are to be here. How the pride that they take in their work. All of those things are incredibly fulfilling for me. I mean, it's actually quite rare, in life where you get to do something that both makes a pretty big difference to society and has the ability to, grow into an interesting company.
Speaking of growing, is the company privately held or publicly
The
traded yet?
company is privately held right now.
You have any IPOs in mind?
Right now we're just focused on growing and being successful at what we do. If things do work out, then we will probably have some sort of a public offering in the coming years. But right now we're just focusing on growth.
Do you envision that growth taking place just from your core organization, or would franchising of the process be appropriate at some point as well?
We Right now we're looking at just growing our business organically through our own employees.
Okay,
We're such a the quality and customer service ethic is so high with SolarCity that we're a little worried about, if we were to franchise, would the franchisees maintain the same type of quality and customer support ethics that we have?
okay.
So, that's a little bit of a fear for us. But what we really want to be able to do is to just bring solar power to as many people in the country as we possibly can. And if we end up in a situation in which we're our own constraint to our own growth, then we want to entertain something like that. But right now we're doing pretty good with keeping everything in house.
You're differentiated by this lease program, the solar lease program.
Hmm.
Are there other companies on the horizon who are going to start imitating your model?
I'm sure. I'm sure there will be. I mean, we haven't seen anybody that has a in-home zero down financing offering yet. And I mean, from experience, we know it's really difficult to do. In fact, we do have a patent pending on the entire procedure. So but I'm sure that we will see some competitors emerge at some stage.
Okay. Finally, tell people how they can contact you by phone or by web or by email.
Sure. So the best way to contact us is on our website, www.solarcity.com. Otherwise, you can give us a call at 888 SOL City, SOLCITY.
Thank you very much for talking to us on Utopia News, and I hope